Sorry about the wind noise, ladies and gents. Just wanted to shoot a quick clip, show you guys what we got going on now. We're finally getting White Knight into the shop, and we're gonna start working on it. So, getting her loaded on the trailer right now. I'm gonna get the winch line out, get my brother out here so he can hold the hood up for me. There's no hood prop. And then I'll probably just hook it to either, I'll show you here, either the sway bar, or there's a nice little slot right in there. It's hard to, here, let me set the hood on my head. There's a little slot right there. I'm hoping that the winch line can hook into on the core support. If not, I'll hook it to the sway bar with a strap so it doesn't pull the bumper off, and give that the college try. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Just loading up White Knight, gonna get her in the shop. So see you guys in a minute. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we got White Knight on the trailer and up here to the shop. I do got to clean around where the hoist is. So my dad was in the shop earlier and was working on my grandpa's truck and kind of made a little bit of a mess. Claimed he didn't have a lot of time to clean it up. Not gonna blame nobody. But got to get it cleaned up before we can get the Mustang in there. I like working in a clean workspace. So anyway, supposedly the car has 30,000 miles on it. You couldn't tell that if you were looking at the exterior, but I'm excited to get it in the shop and get a good look at it. I want to look at the undercarriage, inspect the brakes, check out wheel bearings, that sort of deal. See what we're going to need maintenance wise for the vehicle. So, but it's going to need quite a bit. I already got wheels and tires for it. We're going to have to figure out a headlight situation. I'm hoping that I can get away with just polishing all this stuff out. I don't know, that it's pretty far gone, so I might end up just replacing these. It sucks because they're Ford lights and they're kind of expensive if you're trying to find an OEM set. But you can get some cheap sets on LMR and stuff, but just trying to keep the factory stuff if we can. Looks like windows are all tinted already, so that's nice. Interior is really clean, and I'm sorry if you guys get any glare. The sun's pretty bright right now. I'll try and get good shots of it, but you do got your typical wear on your bolster for your seat, but it really doesn't matter how many miles your SN95 has. It's going to be pretty common unless you get an extremely low mileage one that somebody was watching out when they were getting in and out of it. So no issues with the door panel inserts. Usually you got issues with the door panel inserts popping out on the top there. The clips tend to break on them or get weak. So there's that. You need a quick shot of the inside. They did a good job installing this pillar pod gauge setup. It's not really going to be 100% useful for us because we're going to have to swap out this top gauge. So we got boost pressure, air fuel ratio, and oil pressure. I'll probably go ahead and hook up at least these two and maybe figure a situation out for this top one on what I'm going to do here. I might just pull this one right here. They got trans temp down here, and I'll throw this up top, and maybe I'll throw something else down here. I don't know, maybe a clock or engine temp or something like that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for that stuff, so we'll see what ends up going on there. I am going to leave the factory stereo in there for now. Just use an FM transmitter. It'll be easier, cheaper, but eventually I want to throw a single DIN unit in here. I like utilizing single DINs rather than double DINs because over time your screens end up looking old and dated and stuff, you know. I mean, not a big deal because it's already a dated car the way it is, but you know, the single DINs just really don't go out of style, and they tend to work for a long time. So I tend to stick with that. They got all your functionality on them anyway, so go ahead and get that, and then you get a little nice compartment in here. I do already have an extra bezel here. We're going to be swapping it to a manual transmission, but I've seen that they put a hole in here, so we'll go ahead and get that swapped out. Other than that, looks like original pony windshield. They got the net up here, which is interesting. I've never had one that had that in it. I just noticed that. Back seat area is pretty clean. The back seat has pretty much never been used. I can't really show you guys right now because the radiator and stuff is on there, but got a couple extra parts sitting here for the car, so there's that. And then I'm I'm hoping I get lucky here because I seen these speaker covers right here, and they're Focal speaker covers. So I'm not sure if I put those in here on accident or if somebody actually changed the speakers out. So that'd be cool if they got some Focal speakers in this thing. So there's that. Give you guys a quick shot of the engine bay and what we got going on there. So we're gonna have to clean some things up in here because you guys seen in the previous clip, but we got some overspray on some parts here, like our steering column and our steering rack and that sort of deal. I don't think the harness is going to be a big deal because most of that's probably going to be swapped out for the Mach 1 harness, just to make sure that the PAT system works and everything. I could go ahead and trace wires and just swap specific parts and stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and swap the whole harness if it ends up working out. So we'll kind of see how that ends up working. So there's that. And then the only other issue we got to fix in here is the lower radiator support is really banged up in here. I'm not sure if they hooked a tow rope up to it or what ended up happening, but we're gonna have to do something about that. I'm not sure if I can find a full core support at a junkyard and fix it up, or if we can just cut it off and put like a Team Z tubular unit on there. Or there's one other company that I found that I actually think I'm gonna go with over Team Z. I just like their price and I like their products, and they got back to me real quick. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the lower brake line situation if I did go the tubular route, and they claimed that a lot of guys either route them up into the top here where the harness is and the upper core support, or they route them along the firewall similar to the Fox bodies. I've never actually had a Fox body, but that's just what he claimed. So we'll figure out what we can do after going to the junkyard and seeing what we can do there. I might just go ahead and cut the lower unit off for now and go from there. But yeah, I'm interested to get under the car and check out the underside and take a quick look at all your bearings for the wheels, and come on, there we go, bearings for the wheels and brake pads and brake calipers and that sort of deal, and just make sure that we got everything brake wise situated. I already got pretty much everything drivetrain, so I don't even think I actually need anything, maybe U-joints, but there's going to be clips and a couple of hardware things here and there, and maybe a radio antenna or two or something like that that's going to end up needing replaced. I already got wheels and tires for it because, as you can see, they're pretty well shot. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys here in this clip. Just wanted to give you a good walkthrough of what was going on with the car and what we're kind of thinking about, just getting a good mental picture of what I'm trying to do here. So before we start diving in and start spending a bunch more money. So anyway, thank you guys very much. Catch you in the next clip. Later. Started you guys up a little late. We mocked up some wheels, which you didn't get to see, and we checked brakes, which look like they're gone. So next we're going to be pulling off the cover here on the rear axle and seeing what we got. There's a big leak on the front pinion seal for one, so that's not a good sign. So hopefully it's not blown to pieces, but worst comes to worst, I do have an IRS I can go in it. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. You're probably going to need a wrench for that part.
It's not a 10.
It's not a 10.
It's 12.
Just let me know which one and I'll grab a wrench real quick.
Okay. Oh god, it might actually be 13. It's not metric.
What?
It's not metric, they're standard.
Really? well, we're gonna have to figure out the brake situation. And we're gonna have to figure out the front pinion seal if we do that. I'm honestly half tempted to throw the IRS in here and just be done with it.
I think it'd be pretty cool.
Because then I have, that IRS only has 28,000 miles on it, so the brakes are all good on it. So I'm gonna have good brakes, good bearings. Obviously not a leaking pinion seal, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's literally just drop it out and put it back in. I'd probably do cross-axis joints on the IRS, which I already have anyway, so.
Well, the more you do to it, I guess the less I'd be willing to sell.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get anything for it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's what I was saying. I think we just keep it and use it as our autocross beater.
So maybe,
or just the...
maybe keep this one in the Mach 1.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to buy a new one or whatever.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Because I do want a new one either way, so maybe we can just share that or whatever.
Yeah.
But it'd be cool if we both had one.
I really want us both to have S550s, but all right, well, we're gonna have to sit down and think about it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this one's up to you, dude. It's your car.
I mean, we'll both be driving it, so.
I'll just be a driver. Probably not even that often.
Well, it depends.
Because, like, half the time I'm off, you're working, and I'm assuming you'll drive this. Especially
Yeah,
if your
but
gray car sells.
that depends on how that ends up working out. If you do come work for us, you might be working with me some days, you know.
Just carpool.
Just carpool.
That'd be cool.
But it depends on what it is that you're doing. If you're on the field side, you get off at 4 o'clock, so you'd have to wait 4 hours if we carpooled, and that would be gay.
Right.
So at that point, you're just better off driving yourself.
Yeah, and either way, I'll have my pickup or whatever else I have, so.
Yeah.
I just really want a newer 550 Mustang.
I do too. I mean, like I told you, my goal is to get one of every year.
That'd be cool.
Well, not every year, but every generation.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Every year.
That's a lot of fucking cars. But yeah.
How many years is that?
I mean, from 65 and a half all the way to now.
What's that?
What is that? Is that
70 some years? Just about?
65. It's 40 at 2000. So yeah, like 65 or 60 years, something like that. I don't know. I can't math. Don't flame me in the comments.
Well, yeah, because Dad is 54, right? And he was born in 70.
He should be 55 this year.
Okay, well then.
In October, yeah.
I'll just use that as a baseline. Add 5 years. It's 60 years.
So, yeah, 60.
Yeah.
60 years, yep.
Damn, that's a lot of cars.
Plus, I would skip the Mustang 2 generation anyway, so it wouldn't be 60.
At least have one.
But anyway, that's where we're at, guys. So, see you guys later. Alrighty, guys. I'm sure you're getting a little bit tired of all the monologues, but I wanted to fill you guys in on exactly what's going on, especially after the conversation last night with my brother. So, as you guys heard with us talking in the video, I'm not sure what all I edited out, but the rear end has a leak on the front pinion seal, so that means that differential is going to end up needing to be rebuilt. And at that point, I'd want to put the torsion differential in there and do all that stuff just to be rid of the LSD, because then you don't have to service it anymore. It's just literally changing fluid. That's all you really got to do. So, but I really don't want to waste that torsion on a solid axle setup, and I'm already going to have quite a bit of money in this car anyway, so I think at that point I'm just going to keep the car and use it as our autocross beater. And if that's the case, I might as well make this car pretty much exactly what my 03 Azure Blue Mach 1's going to be, so that way when I get that car done, it's pretty much just a direct drive swap, and I don't really have to like relearn how to drive the car because I didn't change weights and anything. You know, yeah, sure, my Mach 1 will be a little bit lighter on the front end and a couple other components because we're going iron block to aluminum and magnesium intake from aluminum intake and a couple other things like that. So yes,
my car will be a little lighter and it will change the handling characteristics a little bit, but your same engine setup, your same body style, same suspension, same everything. You know, you're just going up a little bit in performance and that sort of deal. So it's still pretty much the basic setup of what my 03 Azure Blue Mach 1 is going to be. So that's kind of why I think I'm going to keep this car. My brother and I will just use it as our autocross / race car for the time being until my Azure Blue one's done. And then from that point on, we'll just use this as a daily or whatever, or maybe we'll sell it in the future, or whatever ends up happening. But at this point, I'm probably just going to keep it because there's going to be about $9,000 to $12,000 probably tied up in this car all said and done. So it is still budget for me out of pocket because I've been collecting parts for a long time. I have a lot of Mustangs, so I'm not just spending 12 grand right now. You know, so that's why I kind of consider it a budget slot, because I've been collecting parts for a long time over the years, you know, one part at a time or whatever the case may be. If I get a bonus from work or something, I spend the bonus on the car or whatever ends up happening. But so anyway, I want to keep it as budget as possible, and that being in mind, I'm not going to rebuild that solid axle. I'll just go ahead and pull it out and I'll just set it on the shelf for now. Maybe set it off for another project, or maybe I'll sell it in the future, or whatever the case ends up being. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the IRS in here. We're going to take a look at all the bushings, just take a good look at what needs replaced, what doesn't need replaced. It is only a 28,000 mile IRS. It came out of an 03 from Billings, Montana. So, and I know it was 28,000 miles because the guy showed me his instrument cluster and showed me his car and stuff. So he pulled it out to put a solid axle in there to do a little bit more drag race type stuff. So I bought the IRS and it looks like it's in good shape. So I'm going to pull it in here, just give it a good once over again. I did wash it up and I WD-40'd it and wrapped it up and stored it away a few years ago. So we'll pull that out, take a good look at it, see if there's any bushings that need replaced. It is a little old, so there might be a couple of cracked bushings here and there that need replaced. Cross-access joints maybe that are wore out. I doubt it with it being that low miles, but it's possible. So we'll just take a look at all that stuff, give it a good once over before we throw it in this car. And then a couple other things that I need for it is I also need front brake pads. I do have a set of 2000 Cobra R calipers that I have that I pulled apart to rebuild and re-powder coat because the powder coat was coming off. Those came off of the race car that I worked on in like the beginning of my channel here. But I still need to do those, so I can do those later on, but I'm not going to do it right now because that would require me to get 2000 Cobra R brake pads and lines for it, and also 13-inch rotors, which would be all in all probably another $400, $400 to $800 depending on what rotors I went with. If I go from LMR, I could probably do it for $400. If I went through Kenny Brown, it'll probably be closer to $800 because they offer the bare rotors that are actually got the aluminum hats on them in their space and they cool better and that sort of deal. So, but I don't think we really need that for what we're using this car for at this point in time. So we'll leave that for a later on build. We'll just get brake pads because $30 is way cheaper. So $30 there. I'll get 2 windshield banners for it. I'm going to put one on the front and I'll put one on the rear window, and that'll be about $50 there. I want to support Kenny Brown's name, and we're going to have some of their parts on here, so we might as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use their rear strut tower brace because I bought one already for my 03 Azure Blue one, so I might as well just use it in this one if we're going to already use the IRS. So we'll go ahead and get that powder coated up and thrown in the car here. And then I also got to figure out the core support deal. I'm going to go to the junkyard, see if I can find a junkyard core support that's in good shape that we can cut off and graft onto this front end, and then we don't have to change brake lines and that sort of deal. So that'll make it easier that way. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and I'll order the tubular lower support, which will actually drop a little bit of weight off, which would be good. But then I got to do a lot more priming, painting, and brake line rerouting and stuff, so that'll take more time. So it's just a cost to time analysis pretty much is what's going to end up happening with that. So I'll go to the junkyard. If I can find that, that's the route we'll go. If I can't find one at the junkyard, then we'll order the tubular unit. So that's what we're going to do there. And then pull the hood insulation off, I also got to get a couple pieces of sandpaper and some polish. I think I already have that laying around, but I got to take a look. We'll try and save these headlights. That'll save us probably 100 to 150 bucks there. And then what else? I think that's pretty much it as far as stuff that we got to buy. The only other thing that I got is I need to get the parts car in here. I know I've been ragging on it a few times in a couple of different clips, but let me explain to you guys kind of why I need that parts car in here other than pulling parts out of it, because I don't think I really went over that. So I've had it before on other projects where you do a swap and then you just can't get it to run for whatever reason, whether it's a ECU compatibility issue or a line got pinched or a wire got pinched, or you mess something up when you did some work to the engine or whatever. Then you're going through all the scenarios of it could be this, it could be this, it could be this, and then you're just tracing stuff for forever. And you just you keep getting frustrated, you can't figure it out, takes you forever. So I'm gonna try and avoid that whole headache by bringing the parts car in here, not only because I gotta pull parts off it, but because I've already done the timing system on this engine once when I had the boundary, or the Shelby Mike timing guides in there. Now we got the OEM Ford stuff on there, and the Shelby Mike stuff is on my built engine for the Azure Blue Mach 1. So I already know that engine runs when it had the Shelby Mike stuff in there. So in theory, it should run with the OEM timing stuff on there as long as the timing's right, which is why I want to get the parts car in here. So when I get the parts car in here and I hook it all up, it should in theory run. Well, it's that engine from that car, it's already ran in there. So if it runs in that car, it should run in this car. So if we go ahead and it runs in that car and we put it in this car and we start having issues, I know it's not a timing issue, because if I put it in here right away and just swap all the electrical over here, then I'm going to be worried about, did I mess something up electrically? Is the timing off? Blah, blah, blah. And it starts that whole process that I was talking about. So we're just cutting that process out by making sure the engine runs in the Mach 1. If it runs in the Mach 1, it should run in this car. If it doesn't run in this car for some reason, I know it's an electrical issue or a compatibility issue, and then I can start tracing from there. It's not a timing issue. I don't need to pull the engine. It's something going on electrically that's not letting it run. So that's kind of why I want to bring that Mach 1 in here. And not only that, I also want to hear the Steeda setup. That's going to be an interesting deal with the Kenny Brown subframe connectors and jacket rails. I don't know how the exhaust is going to work with all that. I was told that it doesn't work with subframe connectors from the guy that I bought it from, but I figured for as cheap as it was, I think I got it for about 500 bucks. Let's give it a shot. It eliminates the buying the IRS or buying the full catback or whatever the case is. So plus it was a little bit different. I thought it looked cool. I've never really seen people running side exits on the 99 to 04s. I've seen it on like the 94 to 98s, but just haven't seen it on the 99 to 04s a lot. So I figured I'd give it a shot, see what it looks like. Maybe we have to trim the subframe connector a little bit. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out here when we get there, but I'm interested to see what that sounds like. And like I talked about in another clip, we got to fix up that one flange on the mid pipe on the passenger side because it doesn't sit well. My Mustang was lowered and kind of scraped it up a little bit, so it's not exactly a circle anymore. It's more of an oval. So we'll get that on there, get that welded up, and then we'll go ahead and get the parts car in here over the top of it, hook it all up, get it running. So that's where I'm at right now. Just wanted to give you guys my thought process and what was going on and how we're going to kind of save myself a little bit of money out of pocket for right now. So that's kind of what I got going on. Thank you guys very much for viewing. I don't know what all this is going to get spliced up with because editing is not really my forte, but I try my best. So anyway, learning with every video. So here we go. Let me get the Parts Mach 1 in here. Later, guys.